Thank you so much for joining us on the first video of the Annihilation of Caste series that we'll be doing on this YouTube channel. So, Annihilation of Caste is actually a speech written by Dr. Ambedkar, which was supposed to be given somewhere in Lahore, but eventually the speech was never delivered and was written and published by Dr. Ambedkar. So we will be talking about it in today's video. We will be dwelling into the historical context and the significant event that transpired between Dr. Ambedkar and the Jat-Pat-Todak Mandal. So for your information, Jat-Pat-Todak Mandal was a mandal found by caste Hindus, and its main aim was to eradicate the caste system, and it was also known as Caste Destruction Society, so which was found in Lahore in 1922. So this story is very important to understand the powerful message behind the Ambedkar's speech. So it all began in December 12, 1935, when Dr. Ambedkar received a letter from Mr. Santram, who was the secretary of Jat-Pat-Todak Mandal. He actually praised Dr. Ambedkar's understanding of caste system, and he writes in his letter to Dr. Ambedkar that you are a great thinker, and it is my well-considered opinion that no one has studied the problem of caste so deeply as you have. And I have always benefited myself and our mandal from your ideas. He writes this thing, and then he kind of asks a small question to Dr. Ambedkar, and not a question, but he requests Dr. Ambedkar on explaining Dr. Ambedkar's thought, where Dr. Ambedkar writes, "It is not possible to break caste without annihilating the religious notions on which the caste system was founded." So Har Bhagwan was actually interested in knowing Dr. Ambedkar's idea behind annihilating the religious notions. So Mandal actually invited Dr. Ambedkar to preside over their annual conference in Lahore, and initially Dr. Ambedkar kind of hesitated to accept the invitation. His thoughts were like he did not like to take part in a movement which was carried out by caste Hindus. Dr. Ambedkar writes, their attitude towards social reform is so different from mine that I have found it difficult to pull on with them. He writes, indeed, I find their company quite uncongenial to me on the account for our differences of opinion. So therefore, when the Mandal first approached Dr. Ambedkar, without any second thought, Dr. Ambedkar had declined their invitation to preside. But however, after the persistent request by the Mandal, he eventually agreed to preside over for the conference scheduled for May 1936. So before the conference could actually take place, a dispute arose over the printing of Ambedkar's presidential address. Ambedkar insisted and requested upon having the address printed in Bombay, whereas the Mandal preferred Lahore for some economic reasons. So Ambedkar received a letter signed by several members of the Mandal, revealing a broader issue, that opposition from prominent Hindu leaders in Punjab to his presidency. So actually, many prominent Hindu leaders were actually opposing Dr. Ambedkar, and despite this backlash, the Mandal writes and it's like the Mandal was very determined to have Ambedkar as their president. However, the situation became more complex when Dr. Ambedkar realized that the Mandal's primary concern was not just about uh, printing location, but to know the content of his address. And when Dr. Ambedkar met Mr. Har Bhagwan from the Mandal, who was mainly interested in the content. After reading it, Har Bhagwan expressed concerns about certain parts of the speech, particularly those critiquing the religious texts and the Ambedkar's declaration of leaving the Hindu fold. So he writes, Mr. Har Bhagwan writes that please leave the word Veda for the time being. And please write that the views that you have expressed in your address are your own and that the responsibility does not lie on the Mandal. On top of that, he says that you had decided to walk out of the Hindu fold, and that was your last address as a Hindu, which Mr. Har Bhagwan found a bit difficult to digest. So he also says that the last portion, which deals with the complete annihilation of Hindu religion and doubts the morality of the sacred books of the Hindus, as well as hint about your intention to leave the Hindu fold, does not seem to be relevant. So actually, Dr. Ambedkar replied, stating that the controversial parts were actually important and they were crucial for a comprehensive understanding of his argument. So it was very important for Dr. Ambedkar to add this controversial part so that people could actually understand the issue at hand and what he is actually argumenting. Yes. So he refused to compromise the integrity of this of his speech for the sake of convince and to appease the Mandal. So Dr. Ambedkar said that I would not even alter a comma. Dr. Ambedkar reiterated that he had made it clear from the beginning that he would not alter his views to fit the Mandal's preferences. He had also pointed out that the Mandal had initially requested a thorough exposition on his ideas, leading to the extensive nature of his address. In the light of Dr. Ambedkar's unwavering stance, the Mandal ultimately decided to cancel the conference. Ambedkar reiterated and decided to publish his address independently to ensure that his views are reached to the public. So the cancellation of the conference highlighted a deep-rooted resistance to Ambedkar's radical ideas among caste Hindus, and yet Dr. Ambedkar's decision to publish the address as the Annihilation of Caste allowed his revolutionary thoughts to influence the generations. Dr. Ambedkar's address remains a seminal work in fight against the caste oppression, and in our next video we will dwell into the core arguments of his address. So yeah, stay tuned, and we will continue to explore the important book the speech actually, the Annihilation of Caste by Dr. Ambedkar. And so what I'm doing through this video is I'm trying to make shorter videos just to explain the Annihilation of Caste in bits, so that it will be convenient for the viewers to understand it in an easy way. So thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you. Bye bye. Jai Bhim.